We are back here with attorney David Wittenberg. And, like I said at the beginning of the show, each person that I wanted to have on today is based on a level of proficiency that person actually had, and that I've actually experienced or been exposed to that proficiency. Attorney Wittenberg is first. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And but Attorney Wittenberg is definitely one of those people. There was a client, this is the worst thing for an attorney, is that when you have to refer one of your clients to someone else. It's a scary proposition because it's many times it turns out to be a negative for you. The person comes back to you and says the attorney hasn't contacted me, or they don't like the way that they were treated by the attorney, and it's almost as if it's your responsibility from that point going forward. So it's something that you generally try to refrain from if possible, but in this situation I felt very confident in sending someone to Attorney Wittenberg. And the great thing was that the results that came from that were exactly what the client wanted. So I definitely can endorse him, in that manner, because he definitely has a level of expertise, efficiency, and I think more importantly was his customer interaction, the way that made the person feel comfortable about what they did. And this was a person who had gone to a larger firm, and sort of the larger firm had dropped the ball. And so that's why we're here. Like I said, once again, thank you for coming. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from the Maryland area, just outside of D.C., born and raised. Graduated from a small private school and went to Connecticut College, also a small school up in Connecticut. Majored in government and history, two subjects I enjoyed.
Okay.
So I figured I'd major in them because I enjoyed going to those classes, so it made sense to me to.
And that's key. That's key.
And that's a theme you'll find with me. I find myself doing things I enjoy.
Okay.
And to me, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to have success. You're going to like going to work. You're going to like dealing with your clients. And to me, that's the key. I genuinely enjoy getting up and going to my job every day. And I think that's reflected in my relationship with my clients.
So when did you know that you wanted to be an attorney?
I didn't have anyone pushing me to be an attorney. It's not as if there were attorneys in my family. I simply found myself on a path doing things that I enjoyed. As I mentioned, the government and history was my major because I enjoyed those subjects, and I enjoyed the professors I had. When I graduated Connecticut College, there were a lot of areas I didn't want to go into. I wasn't interested in finance. I wasn't interested there were a lot of subjects I wasn't particularly interested in. So I took a job as a paralegal.
Okay.
All right. Loved it. Loved the office atmosphere. I enjoyed being a paralegal. So the next step, logical step, was to go to law school.
So your early exposure to law, when you came out of law school, did you immediately work for yourself, or did you look at working for another?
No, I came out of law school. I graduated from the University of Akron in Ohio and was actually expecting my oldest child, who's now 20, and realized it'd be nice to have family nearby. Didn't have any family in Ohio. My parents had moved from Maryland, actually went to Cleveland briefly, and then came down to Atlanta. So expecting a child, graduating law school, not particularly enamored with Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
It just made sense.
Because of weather, or was that?
It was a combination of things. It was a kind of a city that had seen its better days.
Gotcha.
It was part of the Rust Belt.
Right.
And Atlanta was vibrant and hopping and growing, and having family here and expecting a child, it just made sense, and I'm thrilled that made that decision. Yeah.
So when your business, you're primarily a bankruptcy attorney.
Correct.
Okay.
And representing debtors.
Okay.
And people get confused with the terms. There's debtors, there's creditors. Creditors are the folks that you owe, the banks, the credit card companies. And as I tell people, we're all debtors, right? We're all debtors. So, yeah, I represent debtors in personal bankruptcies. So
okay. Now, so personal bankruptcy, that's, what is it? It's Chapter 7?
There's Chapter 7, which allows you to eliminate debt and kind of get a financial fresh start. And Chapter 13, which is a repayment plan, up to 5 years to repay creditors. And there's certain scenarios where being in a repayment plan makes sense. If you're delinquent on the mortgage, you have debts that wouldn't go away in a Chapter 7, like student loan debt, or you've fallen behind on child support. These are Chapter 13 would allow you to get caught up, without and also without losing anything. There's no trustee that could possibly sell any assets that you may have. So if you have an asset, a house with equity, then Chapter 13 makes sense.
And then Chapter 7, what's that like?
You're getting a fresh start. You're coming in. You're eliminating debt that there's no collateral supporting the debt, unsecured debt, credit card debt, medical debt. Most finance companies, these things go away in a Chapter 7. If you have a secured debt, a car note, a house note, so long as there's not much equity in them, you continue to make the payments. You can keep the house, keep the car. You don't lose things. And we don't do anything to jeopardize. If someone wants to keep their house and it's a close call, I'm not going to risk the house. So those are the folks that we put into a Chapter 13.
Now, when you say you're not going to, is the client directly exposed to you, or is it they're coming in talking to other people?
I'm a one-man show, very unique. It'll be 13 years, August 1st. I'll have had my own practice, and I have never hired an employee. I have no legal assistants. I have no secretary. So I'm a one-man show. I like it. I like having total control of my work product. So when you come see me, I'm the only person you'll speak to. I'll go to court with you.
So, the thing about that, though, is that sort of drives this personal relationship, I think, and accountability. Because I think there's a large difference between coming in and I don't know that client and that person is just another person. And being exposed to this person, having the person come in, I know you, I know who you are, we've met, we've talked, I know your history.
Right.
I think that increases the level of accountability for that attorney.
And I think it makes the client more comfortable. I had worked at larger firms, always in bankruptcy, but we actually call them mill firms. They're big operations, and you will see a different individual every step of the way. So when you initially go in, the paralegal might have you fill out the paperwork and review it with you, and then you'll briefly see an attorney. When you go to court, you're going to see another attorney you've never met before, and in fact, that firm may actually hire someone who doesn't even work at the firm to be there with you in court. So in my mind, there's that consistency and there's that comfort. We've met before. They know me. We have that relationship already. So
with the larger firms, that's the thing where the person, you hear the attorney that's in the front of the 341 hearing saying, is John Jones.
They have no idea who the person looks like. They've never met him before. And to me, it's a I liken it. It's as if you went to Walmart for your bankruptcy. Okay. If you know exactly what you need, you can walk into Walmart and get it. But if you don't know what's going on or what exactly you need, you don't go to Walmart to buy a suit that's got to be tailored to you.
Right.
So to me, it's a different operation. They're not bad people. They're not bad attorneys, but it's a large operation, and you're going to be dealing with someone in court, which is nerve-wracking to a lot of folks. and they're dealing with someone they've never met before.
Can you talk a little bit about the process? So I come to you, and what happens?
Right. Again, bankruptcy, folks feel overwhelmed. Their car's been repossessed, or the house is about to be foreclosed. They've been sued. They're about to be garnished. Bankruptcy is a process that allows folks to kind of put the brakes on these collection efforts, and it kind of gives people, I call it a financial fresh start. So they would contact me, and I advertise my cell number. So you're welcome to call me. A little unusual, but you can call me on a Saturday, Sunday. I will answer my cell phone. A lot of times people get something in the mail. It's written in legalese. It's certainly not written for the layman to understand.
Right.
And folks will get a letter on a weekend, and rather than they're having to sweat through the whole weekend and wait till Monday morning to call their attorney and hope the attorney will be there to answer the phone, call me on a Saturday, Sunday. I'm happy to answer the questions and kind of put people at ease. So I think that makes me unique, giving out the cell number. And I'm happy to do it. I genuinely am okay with people calling me. I tell them, if you call me after midnight, I'll answer the phone. I may not be real pleasant, but I will answer the phone. And it's rarely abused. I mean, rarely. I don't regret utilizing my cell number. So to me, it's part of the personalized service that I offer. And I think that makes me stand out. I don't know of too many attorneys that hand out their cell number.
Right, and I think the access is definitely that is unique. I know we try to do that at my firm. We want to be available to the client and let them call us at any time and any of that. And generally, though, what we hear is, wow, that's different. Generally the attorney, when you call, they either you never get them, or they call me back 3 days later, or when I do call them back, they seem as if I've bothered them
I think
by
it's
contacting.
I believe it's the number one complaint about attorneys is they don't return my calls, or I don't know what's going on in my case, and you won't have that experience. You absolutely won't with me.
So you go through and walk them through step by step what's going to happen to them, and
yeah, absolutely. Again, I've been doing it for 20 years, so it's a subject I know well, and I genuinely like the bankruptcy process. To me, it kind of levels the playing field. I think of banks and credit card companies really as they're not your friends. Right. And I know people think they're their buddies and they're their friends and they're getting points and they're getting rewards, but these folks are not your friends. Their job is to extract money from you, so to me it's kind of leveling the playing field. The Georgia state laws are very tough on consumers. We have a foreclosure process where you could lose your house in 4 weeks. They run an ad for 4 consecutive weeks, and the first Tuesday of any given month, they literally can read a description of your property and you lose your house. There's no judicial oversight to make sure they're doing the process correctly.
Wow.
I mean, if you're a tenant, if you're a renter, and you're not paying the rent, before they can get you out of that house, there's a judge that has to oversee it.
Right.
There's a judicial process. And as a homeowner, you don't have that in Georgia.
Now, with bankruptcy, can I stop that process?
Yeah, absolutely. Bankruptcy stops it stops all collections, stops foreclosure, stops repossession, stops garnishments. It's just kind of puts brakes on the creditors.
So now if I walk outside and I see that someone has connected my car on the tow truck and they're pulling it away,
give me a call.
And you can stop that process even though they've
call me a few days before it's hooked up, but we can try and get it back.
Okay. So there's an opportunity to make it get
Chapter 13, we can, even if the car's gone, as long as it hasn't been sold, we can definitely try and get it back. So they can. That's one of the advantages for them to being able to call you at any time to say, absolutely.
"Hey, they're out there getting my car. Can we see what I can do to get it back?" And so, what's that process that stops? All the things that you said.
It's a federal law. It trumps any of the state laws, and it's a federal law that, again, stops creditors, stops the collection activity, stops the repossessions. And again, Chapter 13, we can propose to repay these things, or the Chapter 7, we're just kind of getting you a fresh start, financial fresh start.
So now, is that what when I hear automatic stay, is that what's happening? Is that the law that
That's
you're
the term,
about?
right?
Okay.
It's an automatic stay, which is a
Okay.
legal term for basically all collections stop.
Okay. And so then when the person comes into you, they can just sort of relax and then let you handle it. Is there anything that that they have to do as far as contacting any courts or doing any of that
No,
stuff?
I do all that. That's what you pay me to do. You come in, I have paperwork that you fill out. There are some documents that we usually need to supplement. We are required to provide 2 months' worth of pay stubs to the court. We're required to provide a tax return. And also, most importantly, need to know who you owe. So addresses for the creditors, and it's everybody. It's not we can't pick and choose who we file against. We list everybody. But folks, bring those things in, come into the office, fill out the paperwork. There is a course that you now have to do, which can be done on the internet in about an hour, a credit counseling course. And once we have everything, I can file the case. Again, I contact the creditors, stops the collection activity, go to court about a month later.
Now, if I don't have all of my information, can you still file to get the case started and then I bring in the information? Or do I, if I call you on Sunday and I don't have the tax return there with me, is there a way that you can still
Yeah,
file?
absolutely. With just a list of creditors, we can get the case filed. We can get you a case number. I'm inclined to have it all beforehand,
Right.
because too many times I think once I have a case number, people relax and it's harder to get the materials from them. So I
Right.
do like to have everything in advance, but certainly if there's something urgent, we can file.
So you still want them to be diligent, but and getting the information to you. But I guess I was more thinking of the situation where they have repossessed the car. I don't know if there's any, if there's a time frame with which you have to have filed to get that car back, or is that
Basically up until the time it's sold, but
Okay.
typically you're sent a 10-day letter. We're going to sell your car, and you've got 10 days to bring it current. So usually the car, if you act at the point where it's been repossessed, we can get something filed before it's ever sold.
So now, when we look at your business philosophy, if you had a mission statement, if you were going to say, this is my mission statement, what would that be?
Yeah, my business philosophy is the same in life. I just treat folks the way I want to be treated.
Okay.
So if someone comes to me, I hate waiting on people. I'm not the most patient person. So if I'm in an office, a doctor's office, and I'm sitting and sitting and sitting, at some point I'm ready to get out of there.
Right.
I don't like the fact that I would have to sit. I don't understand if I have a 10 o'clock appointment why I'm not in there by 10:15.
Right.
So I'm not the most patient guy. So I'm not going to do that to someone. So if I schedule appointments, I'll schedule at least an hour in between. I used to work at places, it was every half hour. I mean, boom, boom, boom. So when I went off on my own, my philosophy is I don't want to wait in line. I'm not going to make these folks wait for service. So my clients wait to be served. So, I just allow people to have time. I don't want anybody to feel rushed. I don't want anybody sitting in my waiting room waiting on me. So it's just simply, how do I want to be treated? That's my philosophy.
So what do you say to people when they come in to, file for bankruptcy? Because there's a certain, some people would perceive that there would be a stigma attached to bankruptcy, and I know these are changing times. So what is it that you say to console your clients?
And that's a big part of, I believe, my job is to make people feel okay about the process. And I'm the first guy to tell them, well, you only owe $2,000-$3,000. I don't think you're ready for, I don't think a bankruptcy is what you need.
Right.
You need to communicate with these, a creditor if you're having trouble with them. So I'm the first guy to say it's a little early for the bankruptcy. And sometimes people are too quick to call a bankruptcy attorney. For the most part, by the time I'm being contacted, there's been a lawsuit. Things are in collection. So at that point, the credit's already shot. And that's the downside to bankruptcy. It's not good for your credit.
Right.
Well, if you've been sued and you're being garnished and your car's been repossessed and your home's been foreclosed, your credit's already taken the hit. The reality is, if we did a bankruptcy and got you back to where you had no debt and you are working, you've got some income, I'm not worried about your ability to go out and buy a car the day we get done with the bankruptcy.
Right.
I mean, generally, it's the truth. You will be solicited by car dealerships and credit card companies saying, congratulations on your bankruptcy discharge, come on in.
Oh,
that's where we are.
Okay.
So your bankruptcy is not nearly as devastating as it once was. I liken it to the, as far as you mentioned the stigma, I liken it to the word divorce. 30, 40 years ago, people didn't walk around advertising they were divorced, and I don't believe, as a divorced man, and there are many of us out there, I don't feel a stigma with the word divorce, and I think bankruptcy has gotten there. It doesn't have the stigma it once did, and for the most part, it's the creditors that have eliminated that stigma.
Right.
The fact that you can go out and get a car the day after your bankruptcy discharge. The stigma to me is gone, and it's a necessity. It can be a real lifesaver. I generally feel when people come in, I physically can see the weight.
Right.
They're just overwhelmed, and debt will affect your health. Debt will affect your marriage. Right. I mean, it can be devastating. So when someone comes in and I can physically see this weight on them. And after I get done discussing the bankruptcy and what it's going to do and the fact that they're not going to be in debt anymore and there will be life after the bankruptcy, I literally can see the weight lift.
So tell me how, if I'm trying to contact you, what is it that I need to do? How can I get you?
I'll give my cell number, 404-935-3250. You can call me as soon as we're done with the show. I promise you I'll answer the phone. Okay. I do have a website. I'm not on, the business doesn't have a Facebook page, or I'm not tweeting yet. I'll get there. I'm a little behind. But I do have a website. My last name is Wittenberg, which is Wittenberg. There's no H in Wittenberg. But WittenbergLawGA.com. If I had to do it over again, I'd have a much shorter.
Do you have an email address that they can
I do. The email is lawwit, LAWWITT @hotmail.com. 2 W's, 2 T's, lawwit. But again, the easiest, quickest way is the phone number, and that's 404-935-3250.
Okay, so that was Attorney David Wittenberg, and we've got his contact information. Just want to say thank you very much for coming into the show, and it was great information.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right.